Like when we see a table, we see the shape of the table or the chair. But Brahman underneath that is the wood. So if you change your perspective, Satchidanand is the base upon which name and form arise. So name and form can change. They will keep on changing. They will keep on rotating. They will come and go. They will come and be born and die. But Satchidanand is the base upon which all those things come up. So I and you experience name and form. Once you realize that the ornament that you are wearing, the gold necklace you are wearing, and the bracelet you are wearing, if as long as you think they are separate entity, then you are in this world. You are living in the empiric reality. Once you realize that it's gold that is manifested all these ways, then you live in a Brahman state. So that is the way to look at it. Well, let me give an example. આપણે પેલા ઘણા ફેરમાં જઈએ તો remember that there are balloons being sold by different people and they make different shapes of balloon, different animals and those kind of things. Just think about it. Every kid thinks about, I want this lion or I want deer or whatever this guy makes up. You and I know that is nothing but balloon in a shape of whatever the shape it is, or the name that whatever the name it is. But underneath it is the balloon. It doesn't matter what shape and what size it is. The child doesn't know, or child thinks that this is it. The reality beyond that is not clearly understood. A realized person knows is that ultimately it's a balloon. What shape and size doesn't really matter. So that is the base of Brahman per se. And the next line is Satyam Gnanam Amanantam. That means it is infinity. That Brahman is an infinity upon which these finite things come and go. Ocean is the infinity and the waves come and go. So I and you are the waves that come and go. We get born, we get dissolved. But the ocean is not affected by it. Ocean remains what it is, because everything comes from the ocean per se. So the way ocean will look at it is that I will look at it, I am the wave containing the water. I and you will look that way. The ocean will look at it from the point is that is nothing but a wave within me. I am the water in the form of a wave. That is the concept looking from the other side.
All right.
So that wave can come and go and wave can be born and die, but it doesn't affect me as the ocean. That's the difference. So when Atman says, Devanand says to the Jivatman, is that Jiva and Ishvara don't matter. So what Keval Advait says, Ishvara is also a wave and Jiva is also a wave. So their appearance and disappearance makes no difference to the Brahman per se. So let's move on to the next slide.
Now, one before you move. So how that ocean example or balloon example you gave with the Brahman, I got connected that part. So how that Nirgun and Sagun will...
Sagun and Nirgun.
Will join
Sagun Brahman, you can look at it from the point of view, from Keval Advait point of view I'm talking about, is ocean is the Nirgun Brahman. Sagun Brahman is a big wave, and you and I are small waves that come and go quickly. Sagun Brahman is a wave that is a bigger and longer and lasts longer. So that is Ishvara. But it is still a wave.
Wave, I see.
Within the ocean, bigger than me, or at least appears to be bigger than me, and lasts longer.
I see. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so now this is a diametrically opposite concept. Dvaita concept is reversal of the Advaita concept that we talked about, where it shows is that Jagdish is God. Jiva is you and me, us, all of us collectively, individually together. And Jagat is the world that we experience. So what typical religion will say, and what Madhavacharya's Dvaita concept will say is this, that Jagdish is the ultimate efficient cause. We talked about efficient cause. Jagdish is like a kumbhar who makes the pot. So that kumbhar makes the pot in the form of you and me and creates the world in the form of Jagat. But material is not kumbhar itself. Material is a clay. So the idea is Jeev, Jagdish and Jagat are three separate entities, but Jagdish is the controller, and these two are being controlled by the Jagdish, by the God. So in essence, God is the judge, and we are subservient to the judge. So that's a classical religion. Almost all religions are like that. But God controls this world and you and me, and we are subservient to that God. So that's a diametrically opposite view of Keval Advaita. Let's go to the next one.
Right, but so this slide pushes toward the bhakti mark, right?
This side, exactly right, because it's a Vaishnavite school. See, Madhavacharya is a Vaishnavite, Dvaita is a Vaishnavite school.
Right. Thank you.
So this is middle of the road concept, which is called Vishishta Advaita of Ramanujacharya, where Jagdish is the ultimate controlling authority, but Jagat and Jiva are periphery of that, are contained within it. So just think about, આપણે પેલું સીતાફળ ખાતા હતા, નાના પર સીતાફળ આવતું હતું, ખબર દાડમ કે સીતાફળ, દાડમમાં બી એવું છે કે દાડમની અંદર નાના નાના seed હોય, right? So think about, dadam is the God and we are the seed. So in a way, we are part of that dadam, or we are part of that sitafal, whatever. But we are not the whole thing. I am the flower, I am the tree, I am the leaf, I am the fruit, and God is the tree. So that is the middle of the road concept called Vishishta Advaita, which is a Ramanujacharya version. So think about, Keval Advaita is one extreme, Dvaita of previous one that we talked about is the other extreme, and this is in the middle of the road extreme. And our school falls somewhere in the middle of these two. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Do we stand?
Okay, so this is a Keval Advaita concept, diagram wise. Brahman is the entity, and the universe and Jiva are within that. So you can see the three different ways to look at it. In the previous Dvaita concept, Brahman was outside, which is in the form of Jagdish, as God, and there was Jiva and Jagat, separate. The next one came was that Brahman was one entity and Jiva and Jagat were part within and part outside. So they were the periphery. And this concept is like Brahman is only one entity, Jiva and Jagat live within that. So just think about it. When I realize, when I acquire the knowledge, all I do is remove the veil that is separating me from Brahman, because I am within the Brahman. If I am the space within the pot, what I don't know is that the space that I am with the pot and the space outside the pot is same until the pot is broken. So when I realize that I am God, all that happens is the pot is no more. The pot is a metaphor of body, mind, intelligent complex.
એટલે આ જે સર્કલ છે તે બ્રહ્મા,
Right, Brahman.
બ્રહ્મન અને એની અંદર આ બધું યુનિવર્સ અને જીવ છે.
Right.
જ્યારે પેલામાં બધું ડિફરન્ટ છે.
Precisely, right. Okay. Did I make sense?
સમજે.
Any questions from anyone before I go further?
So when the waves dies down and merges into the water, I am no longer Jiva, I become Brahman.
Precisely from the Keval Advaita concept, right?
So looking at this picture, in the dark blue where it says Keval Advaita, you could replace that with God or Krishna or whatever. Is that just
Jagdish? Jagdish means
Jagdish? Yeah.
Jagdish means Bhagwan. You can Bhagwan can be whatever you want it to be.
So universe is the
Universe is Jagat.
Jagat.
And a Jiva is you and me.
Then where is the
And Brahman is the God.
Jagat? I mean,
Brahman is
Brahma.
equivalent to God. But this Brahman is a closer to, is like Nirgun Brahman, formless reality. That Brahman, Jagdish, is the form with the form itself, with the man or woman, Devi or Bhagavan, Krishna or Vishnu, whoever you want it to be.
So they,
So-
they don't belong to here.
No. For them, for Keval Advait, Ishwar is also within the Brahman itself.
Oh, I see.
So, Jiva, Jagat, all the three are within the Brahman itself. I didn't draw the Jagdish here, but that's the point.
Yeah.
Is that Brahman is the ultimate reality of formless reality. Jiva, Jagat and Jagdish are within that.
So Rajan Bhai, where you have universe, is that the Maya?
Yeah, I'll come to the Maya concept. Let's move on further down and maybe okay, so let me now, since you asked, maybe I'll explain that. Okay, so from the point of view of Shankaracharya's Keval Advait, Maya has two functions. One is to project the universe, just like sun image is projected in the pots of the water without sun changing anything, right? Or if I'm looking in the mirror, I see my face in the mirror. Though I am not in the mirror, it appears to be in the mirror, right? The image of the sun in the pot in the water is an image. The sun is shining up in the sky, right? So it is a projection. It is not a manifestation. So that's one way. Maya is from Keval Advait. And second is veiling. And what is a veiling? Veiling is like something like this. When I look at a rope and I perceive that to be a snake, it is a dark, semi-dark environment. So I see the rope, but I think it's a snake. So what essentially it means is that the rope is veiled in its reality and has been projected into Maya of snake. Okay, so once you overcome that Maya, the veil that is hiding the rope is revealed. Okay, so that is the way Shankaracharya will say. But Vaishnava school will take a slightly different view. They will say that they will say something similar to what I gave an example of mirage in the water. Let me give an example. What it will say is this, is that Brahman is not a projection. I mean, the Jiva and Jagat is not a projection of Brahman. It is a manifestation of Brahman. So something similar to this. Ke bhai, Sonu che, the brick of gold has manifested itself as a necklace or bracelet or ring or whatever it is. Or Brahman has changed, called Parinamvad, from milk to yogurt. So that will be the concept of Vaishnava school. Ke bhai, Brahman has manifested itself in a different form. It has not projected, so it is not an illusion. Shankaracharya will say because it's a projection, it is an illusion. Like Ram Bhagwan Nana Atta, and Chandra જોઈએ છે, પછી then they brought a pot and put the water inside, and Ram Bhagwan ખુશ થઈ ગયા કે ભાઈ ઓ યાર ચંદ્ર મળી ગયો. So the moon was not there. The projection was there, and he believed that to be the moon. So Shankaracharya will say is that the world that we experience is a projection of Brahman. Vaishnava school will say, no, wait a second, it is not a projection, it is a manifestation of Brahman. So Brahman has manifested itself in different forms. Similar to what milk has become yogurt, or similar to what clay has become a pot, or similar to what gold has become ornament.
Except the difference is gold and ornament or clay and pot can go back to its original, while milk and
cannot go back. So that is
cannot.
the right. So, but Vaishnavite school will argue, depending upon what school you are in, that Brahman, I mean, the world that we experience is either of the two.
Right.
Parinamvad or Vivartavad.
We were the one.
And Keval Advait will say it is Ajatvad, which is a projection, or Vivartavad, depending upon what example they use. Original concept was, Shankaracharya's concept was Vivartavad. That means gold has become ornament. His disciple Suresacharya and subsequent Advait scholars added projection as well. So Maya, from the point of view of Keval Advait, is a projection. Maya, in the point of view of Vaishnavite school, is called Leela.
Yeah.
That means, Leela means God has created this universe as a play. So, for example, Alan Watts' example, God was alone and he was thinking about, what do I do? I'm bored. I need somebody to entertain and play with. So created many people like him. But he was so good that now he has forgotten that he is God himself. So all of them are searching for God. They're playing a game of hide and seek, but everybody is searching, where is the God? But God himself is part of that play. So that is the classical Vaishnavite concept as well.
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, you can argue from endlessly from different viewpoints. Yeah, Jana Ben.
આ બધાનું ઇન્ટરપ્રિટેશન આટલું બધું ડિફરન્ટ કેમ છે? કેવલ અદ્વૈતા, પછી રામાનુજાચાર્ય, શંકરાચાર્ય, બધા જ્ઞાની છે, તો બધાનું આટલું બધું ઇન્ટરપ્રિટેશન કેટલું ડિફરન્ટ છે?
Because, and then I'll come to that point some point in later on, called Vigyanavad, that no matter what you are, no matter how absolute your realization is, the absolute reality lies beyond what you experience. Even the best realized souls will not be able to explain or understand the total reality by itself. Just think about it. Explanation is something, all roads lead to mountain top. That's what we say. कि भाई તમે ગમે રસ્તા પર ગયા ભાઈ કોઈ બી રસ્તા પર જાઓ તો માઉન્ટેન ટોપ પર તો પહોંચાય આમ ઈસ્ટ માંથી જાઓ કે વેસ્ટ માંથી જાઓ ultimately reach the mountain top. So that presumes that there is only one top. Reality is only not one top. Reality is a mountain range. So you reach the mountain top of one of the mountain, but not all the mountains.
Okay.
So just think about Himalaya has many, many peaks. Just because you reach one peak, you experience the peak, whatever that is, but you don't necessarily have experienced every other peak.
Okay.
Am I making sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
That means
Okay,
કે આ બધી theory છે તેમાં they only reach at one point.
Yeah, one point. Yeah.
Precisely. Like that is why Jainism is more attractive in the sense called Anekantavad. That means reality is combined total of all those experiences and all those things plus something more. So just think about it. Every concept that has been explained by all these realized souls may be combinedly totally correct, but they are not fully correct. They are correct from their perspective, but not correct from the totality point of view. So if I'm explaining, blind man explaining how is an elephant is, and he puts that hand on the tail, what he's describing is true. But that is only from that point. Let me give you another example how Ramakrishna will explain. There was a man who was talking with another man. He says that I saw a small animal on the tree, and that animal was red. The other guy says, oh, I saw the same, but it was green. And the third guy comes and says, oh no, it looked like bluish. So they started arguing, oh, this one was red or blue or green or whatever the color is. So now they are arguing about that animal that they have seen. So they go to the tree and there is a man sitting under the tree. And he says, oh, I know that animal. I have seen that animal. I see it every day. But that animal is colorless. Why? What he is trying to explain is this. Animal is like a kachiro hai na, chameleon. So that total, everybody is experiencing chameleon in the shape and the color that they saw. But that chameleon has many different colors depending upon where he is. He is also colorless at some point in time. So think about it. The guy who is sitting under the tree is more perfectly realized than the guy who has seen the chameleon in the green or reddish or oranges or bluish or whatever the color that was. But even that one, according to realization, even the guy who knows that all these colors belong to him may not have realized that he doesn't know the whole thing yet. So just think about it. Ultimate reality is beyond comprehension. Something like I mentioned a while back, inability to argue and explain beyond what we think is not necessarily means there is no more explanation left. So we may be able to explain to a point, but the reality lies beyond the explanation. There's something beyond that nobody can explain. All right, let's move to the next one. Anil bhai, please stop me and add if you anytime you feel like.
Yeah, I think it is the right explanation. I would only say કે દરેક જે આ બધા આચાર્યો થઈ ગયા એમના અનુભવો જુદા જુદા હતા. What you said is the same thing, but I put it in a different way કે એમના અનુભવ પ્રમાણે એમણે એમની રજૂઆત કરી છે. So the philosophy basically is based upon their own experience. That's what I would say.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Example I can use is something like this. Just think about it. Janaben, તમે તમારા ઘેરથી downtown જાઓ, so you see a lot of different things, right? You go to downtown 100 times. And every time you see things that you have not seen before, right? So if I was to ask you કે તમારા ઘેરથી downtown જતી વખતે શું તમે જોયું? So you may tell me one time something. If I ask you 10th, when you go 10th time, you may tell me something different that you saw. And second part, just think about it. What you believe to be downtown may not necessarily be the downtown. You may think you reached the downtown, but the downtown may be further ahead. You only reached halfway. And what you experience from your home to halfway, every time you experience was different. You saw different things. So you were right in that when you explained to me what you saw each time, but you don't remember everything that you saw. So, I mean, you can argue endlessly. The point is this: ultimate reality is beyond comprehension of you and me and even realized souls. All right.
So all this Shankara, Ramanuja, all these guys take you to a point, but there may be, or there is something beyond that has not been yet described. Or
That's absolutely true. Yep, that's absolutely true. કેટલી વાર છે હવે?
પણ રાજનભાઈ, sorry, go ahead. શું કહેતા?
અમે કેટલી વાર પૂછતો તમને અશોકભાઈને?
10 મિનિટ.
તમારો અવાજ બંધ.
અવાજ બંધ છે
અવાજ બંધ છે તમારો.
તમારો મ્યુટ કરેલું છે.
About 10 minutes, I think.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
It's 10 after 8, so 8:20 would be 40 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
રજનીભાઈ.
રાજનભાઈ, આ જે તમે આને જે દિનેશે સવાલ પૂછ્યો રામાનુજ કે who are all the બધા આચાર્યો કે સંત થઈ ગયા, તો એ લોકોએ આ અનુભવેલું હોય કે they were more on a study base, they were saying?
Both. Ultimately, idea is that you come to a point where you experience what you realize.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that is the ultimate reality. Okay, just think about it. Okay, for them, all this knowledge is like a ladder to reach the top of the roof.
Uh-huh.
You know, or once they reach the roof, what they see is the roof and the world that lies on the ground.
Below ground.
But when they use the ladder, they may not necessarily reach all the way to the roof, or there may be many layers of roof where they reached.
Yeah.
What they experienced was based on where they were. And they described what they saw. So it is possible is that each one saw partial reality at some point, and they experienced it, and they describe their experiences.
And what Anil Bhai said is then partial wherever, but the path they took, they use a aluminum ladder or wooden ladder or whatever, but the path they took was also different to experience wherever.
Exactly right. Right, absolutely right. The point is this: you may reach the reality, but you may not reach all the way to the final reality.
Correct.
That's the point.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
All right, so now this slide is basically classical Dvait concept, which is Madhavacharya's called Sad Vaishnavism. Now, Madhavacharya's explanation is closer to Christianity's explanation. So, if you think in terms of Bhagwan ek che, હું છું અને જગત છે. Bhagwan controls me and Jagat. That's a classical Islamic concept, classical Christianity concept. There are 5 differences. That's what he's explaining. God and individual are different. That's one difference. God and matter is different. Jiva, Jagat and God, Jagdish. Jagdish અને જીવ જુદા છે, જગદીશ અને જગત જુદા છે. એક જીવ અને બીજો જીવ જુદો છે. એક મેટર અને બીજું મેટર જુદું છે. અને મેટર અને જીવ જુદા છે. એટલે those are the 5 differences. કે ભાઈ જીવ જગત ને જગદીશ એટલે પરમ્યુટેશન કોમ્બિનેશન કરો તો 3 વસ્તુ હોય તો 5 ડિફરન્સ પડે. એક બીજાથી જુદા છે એટલે 2 થયા. એક જીવ બીજા જુદો છે, એક મેટર બીજી મેટરથી જુદું છે અને જીવ મેટરથી જુદું છે. So that is called punch. 5 differences essentially. So what Madhavacharya says, God controls all these jivas, you, me, and everybody else, and all the matter, whatever the shape and whatever the form is. And each matter is different from the other matter. Each jiva is different from other jiva. So that's the idea of classical religion, similar to Madhavacharya, similar to Christianity and everybody else. So God is independent reality, and the soul and world are dependent reality, according to him. And God is the first controller and is the efficient cause, but not the material cause. The example will be, God is like a kumbhar. Mati judi છે. Vallabhacharya and especially Ramanujacharya will say, God is like spider. The web comes from spider itself. Madhavacharya will say God is like the guy who makes the pot from the clay. So that's the difference basically. And they believe world is not an illusion like Maya. World is really real. All Vaishnavites will say is there is no concept of Maya. This is the concept of Leela. That means God has created this world, actually manifested in the world as the world. That is the idea. Now Shankaracharya will make a completely different point. Let me explain that point. Just think about it. There was a kid, and he was telling, the father was explaining, they were going to a movie, and the kid had never gone to a movie. So father has explained while driving the car, there is a screen. On the screen, they project images. So that is the movie. So the guy was born before TV. So he has never seen a movie. The boy I'm talking about. So when he goes in the theater, the movie has already started. So now the kid is asking, Daddy, where is that screen that you were telling me about? So the father says, જો પેલો અર્જુન ને કૃષ્ણ છે ને રથમાં બેઠા છે ને એની પાછળ એની પાછળ તો જમીન છે એ સ્ક્રીન છે ના ના એ જમીનની પાછળ તો જમીનની પાછળ તો ઘાસ દેખાય છે એ સ્ક્રીન છે ના ના એ ઘાસની બી પાછળ તો પેલું આકાશ દેખાય છે એ સ્ક્રીન છે ના ના એની બી પાછળ એટલે he keeps on asking where is that screen that you were telling me about, and when the interval comes the movie stops and he sees the white screen. So the father says, that is the screen. What you were seeing was a projection of Krishna and Arjuna and chariot and everything on that screen. Everything that kept on coming and going, the screen was never affected. The screen is the Brahman, and all the things that you are seeing is on the screen of the Brahman. As long as you are seeing the screen, as long as you are seeing the movie, you don't see the screen. So this movie is being played as an illusion on the screen of Brahman. So Brahman is the ultimate reality. The projection of the illusion is on the ultimate reality. So what you are seeing as a snake is actually a rope. The snake is projected on the screen of a rope. Am I making sense?
Knowledge through.
Yeah.
Okay, so now essentially what Shankaracharya will say, the Gnan is to realize when the movie stops. Okay, there is a screen. The Gnani will know is that there is a screen behind the movie, behind all these moving characters that you see. But you and I will not until we die. The Gnani will be able to see the screen while he is living and enjoying the movie. Or at least he will know that there is a screen, and we do not. All right. Let's go to the next slide, and maybe you can stop after that. So we already talked about Dvait concept. Now this is Visishta Dvait concept, which we talked about earlier. Where Brahman is the circle and Jiva and Jagdish are within that periphery of the circle. Brahman is that Sitafal, and we are those seeds within the Sitafal. That's the idea. So that is what he's explaining. And this Ramanujacharya was Tamil. So there is a strong tradition of Tamil literature, which was equally good in Sanskrit literature. So he essentially created what is called Ubhay Vedanta. That means he incorporated some of the ideas of Tamil literature and some of the ideas of Vedanta and mixture of both. So he used both of them, and there were saints called Alvar saints who did many of the work like the Sanskrit scholars did. So he basically incorporated some of this idea. So essentially, idea is this. He will say God is a man named Narayan. Narayan is Vishnu. And essentially, Vallabhacharya Krishna kese, and he will call it Narayan or Vishnu. And he creates this universe from the Akshar Brahman, which is the underneath that, and the triangle that is underneath the circle is where the world lies. So that is the idea. And what he will say is this, is that I means Jiva, is a fraction of or anshi of the ultimate reality. Madhavacharya will say no. Madhavacharya will say I as a Jiva is completely different. God is not like me. God is completely different from me, and I am like you and Smita, but I am not like God. None of us are like God. Ramanujacharya will say, yeah, we are like God. Only difference is that he is the totality and I am the fractionality. So he created me from himself, but I am not equal to him, basically. That is the Ramanujacharya's concept. આપણે અનિલભાઈ અસ્મિતાબેન તમે પૂછતા હતા કશું
ના ના
Oh,
ના ના અનિલબેન.
Anil bhai, anything you want to add?
અને કે છે,
અચ્છા
ઓ
Yeah.
અચ્છા
તો રાજન એક કે 2 જ મિનિટ રહી છે પણ
Okay, I would just add one thing. તમારે practical example આ જોવો હોય તો આ તિરુપતિ ઈશ્વર જે ટેમ્પલ છે, that is based on these three Vaishnava traditions. So this is a typical, if you have, it's
તમે કહ્યું ને વિષ્ણુ અને